Hey everybody, and welcome to day 2 of 12 Games of Christmas. And today I've got a fun activity for you called Christmas Match. Here we have to match the image on the right with an image on the left, and if we think it's a match, we're going to press the button down and we get a new one, whether we are right or wrong. At the time, we have a timer in the top right. We have a score, watching how we get on. The score will go up if I get it right. The score will go down if I get it wrong. And we keep going until the timer gets to 0. Also, as I progress through the game, it gets a little bit faster. Now, when the timer gets lower than 0, so you can see you've got -3 here, the game goes, the button goes, and I have my score of 1. So I didn't do very well. Let's have a look inside and see some of the things going on here to see how this works. Okay, so inside, I only have 4 sprites. And in fact, the first 2 is the same thing. A lot of the work for this game is in the costumes. I created one sprite and I added in loads of different images that I found on the internet. And all I did, once I had them all in, and I tried to find ones that were similar to make the game more challenging, I then created, I then right-clicked and clicked duplicate. And I got this second one with all of the same costumes. That's important. I'm going to make sure not to change these costumes because I'm going to use that fact in a little while. Then I just had a little background which does nothing, just to identify the one on the right. And then finally I have a button, and the button is very simple in terms of it's got 2 costumes. This is where most of my game code is. So firstly, on sprite 1, I have when flag clicked, we're going to set the level to 1. That will become a little bit more apparent later. And I've got this little bit of code here which says switch costume to 1 - 1, which is 0. And then it says set costume totals to the costume number. This little bit of code here which says switch costume to 1 - 1 and set costume totals to the costume number is a way of telling Scratch how many costumes I've got. Because when it goes to costume 0 or 1 - 1, that's like going back to the costumes. So going to 1, take away 1, which means going all the way down to the bottom. So Scratch understands that it's 16. Scratch has worked out, oh, okay, so I'm going to go to costume 16, and I'm going to trap that in a variable. So I've set my costume totals to 16, if you like. And that means that if I ever change my game or add in a few more costumes, I don't have to worry about the code in here. It's always going to find out how many costumes there are and then use that number. And we use that number here because it's going to wait 0.1 seconds. That's just a wait so that when I start my game, nothing flashes. It's going to repeat until the timer is less than 1, so that's a nice easy block. And inside it says if, now this one says pick a random number from 1 to 4. If that number equals 4, then what I want it to do is I want it to switch the costume to the same one as the one you're trying to guess. So basically it's saying there's a 25% chance that it's going to be the same sprite. Okay, and then it's going to wait a random amount of seconds. This one is basically a random number between ½ and 1 second divided by level. As this level goes up, this number gets smaller and smaller. So as that level goes up to like level 5 or 6, that will be, as it goes up to level 5 or 6, that will start to drop this value and it'll go faster and faster. If it's not in the top 25, it's going to randomly select a costume from 1 to 16, that variable that I added in earlier. So that's the code for the sprite to change. So when I press the green flag, it's going to keep cycling through, but it will, on 25% of the time, match what's on the right hand side. Now, here's the logic of the game. So when I click on the sprite, and this is it really, if the costume number of sprite 1 is the same as the costume number of sprite 2. So now you see why I had to make sure that the costumes numbers were the same on both. I needed to make sure that they were the same, because if they are the same and they're in line with each other, then I know that they're the same sprite. If that is true, that means you've got a match. So I've got the switch. This is just the button to switch the costume. So I should have called that something like button down. It's going to add 1 to my score. It's going to wait ½ a second, so you can't just keep clicking over and over again on the button. Then it's going to switch back to the normal button. and then it's going to broadcast change. This broadcast button, which you can find in events, it's like creating your own event. All that change is going to do is going to allow me to change the one I'm guessing. I'll show you that very, very short code in a moment. And we're going to change the timer by 3. All that means is we're going to add on 3 seconds just to help, because if you got it right, let's give you a bit more time. Else, so I've got an if else. Then we're going to switch the costume to costume 3, which just means I've pressed it, but we're going to take a score off. We're also then going to broadcast change again, so it doesn't matter if you get it right or wrong, the picture is going to change. And, oh, I've made it disappear now. Let's bring it back so we can see it. I'll just change it to the front layer. There we go. And if we get it wrong, we're going to get the -3 on the timer, so we're going to lose 3 seconds. Right, so that's basically the logic of the game. Other things that I've added in here is I've got my timer. Well, I've got the check of the timer. I'll show you where the timer is in a second. When the flag clicked forever, if the timer goes less than 1, stop all sounds. That's because I've got some music on there. And also hide the button. All right, and then when the flag is clicked, show the button and get it ready. So that's simple, and reset the score. Over in the backdrops, I've got some music, and there's my timer code. So my timer code is when flag is clicked, set the timer to 20, repeat until the timer is less than 1, or repeat until the timer equals 0, however you would like to do it. Wait 1 second, change timer by -1. That's your basic timer. I've talked about that in many videos previously. That's the simple scratch timer. All right, finally, just to show you that on the Sprite 2, when I receive change, when I get that event, I'm going to just switch to a different costume. That's it. That's all the code needed for this game. I think I could probably make it better. I could add in an entry screen. I could change these variables so they don't look so scratchy, if you like. And maybe I can make it a little bit harder. I was thinking about being really evil and maybe just changing a couple of things, like maybe giving this elf a silver bell instead of a gold bell to make it really difficult. But for now, this game works fine. And we can see that I'm getting -2 when I start to. Let's get the timer going. So you can see here, oh, match, and you can see the timer jumps back up again. And you know, it starts off slow, but it does get quicker. There you go. That is my game for day 2 of 12 games of Christmas. I'm waiting to see some entries from you guys. Please do add it into the 12 games of Christmas page. I'll just bring that up now. Remember, if you want to add it, it's in here, the 12 games of Christmas. Please do share your games, and I look forward to seeing them. Thank you.